With the use of fossil fuels increasing exponentially over the last few decades, engineers around the world have made a concerted effort to find and implement new renewable sources of fuel. Among these new renewable sources, biofuels have been among the most discussed and researched.
Biofuels are defined as any fuel source derived from a living organism. The most commonly used biofuel is corn and soy-based ethanol, which has been in the use in the U.S. for decades. While these ethanol fuels are fairly efficient, enormous amounts of arable land would be required to satisfy our growing demand for fuel. In order to replace all of the diesel fuel in the U.S. with soy biodiesel, half of the land in the U.S. would be used strictly for farming soybeans. Additionally, ethanol-based fuels have been shown to corrode the components of combustion-based engines.
An alternative to soy and corn-based fuels that has gained traction as a viable fuel source recently is algae-based biofuels. Compared to the large land demands of crop-based fuels, the land required to produce enough algae-based fuel to replace all diesel fuel in the U.S. would be only about 15,000 square miles, or about half the size of the state of Maine. Additionally, while corn and soil require arable farmland that could be used to produce other foods, algae farms can be built in harsh environments and on land not suitable for crop production.
Algae fuel is created via photosynthesis in genetically engineered blue-green algae cells. The algae intakes carbon dioxide and produces the chemicals needed for fuel production within its cell walls. These chemicals are then extracted in one of a variety of ways, all of which require rupturing and killing the cells to harvest the oil. One of the most common methods for extraction is a mechanical method called expression, where the oil is pressed out of the cell, much like how olives are pressed to extract olive oil. This method can extract up to 80% of the algae's oil.
Algae farms all follow the same basic cycle of algae growth and harvesting. Cells are grown in large plastic bags or cylinders so that they can be exposed to the sun from all sides. Carbon dioxide and nutrients are pumped into these containers to promote cell growth. These algae cells are then harvested for their oils, leaving the remaining biomass of the cells to be recycled as nutrients to grow more algae cells.
The reasons that algae-based biofuels are not prevalent in society stems from the price of production and upkeep of algae farms, as well as the issues with efficiency of the resulting fuels. In addition to the millions of dollars it would cost to start up multiple algae farms, the price of the fuels themselves are currently too expensive to be mass-produced, with a price of about $240 per barrel of algae biodiesel as compared to $107 per barrel of crude oil. Also, algae biodiesel is still not efficient enough to reliably run a standard car for long enough to justify its use.
The good news about algae fuels is that research is constantly advancing, and algae-based biodiesel could be cheap and efficient enough by 2020 to be considered a viable alternative to fossil fuel, and to justify the funding of more algae farms around the world.